The iHemp Hour is brought to you by Down on the Farm hemp seed oil. Better eggs, better fries through hemp. Get yours at downtothefarm.biz. All right, welcome to the iHemp Hour. My name is Dave Craybill. I'm with iHemp Michigan. iHemp Michigan's mission is to educate, inform, and promote the research, development, and cultivation of industrial hemp in Michigan. iHemp Michigan advocates for wellness in people and the planet through hemp, and it begins with the farmer. We've got a great lineup today. We want to get right into the show. So Mike Brennan from 420 News, you want to give us a little update there in the Michigan?
Yeah. One of the ones that may be that folks in the hemp industry may be interested in hearing is the Michigan Senate yesterday passed a bill allowing, a number of expungements for records, but included in that is anybody with marijuana convictions prior to, it going legal last year. And so I know I think that's going to have some impact on whether folks in the hemp industry will be able to get licenses if their records are expunged. Would that be right, Blaine?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know how many folks in the audience that applies to, but if you want to find out more details, check it out at my other website, which is Michigan Marijuana Report, mimarijuanareport.com. The other one that I was mentioned to the guys that I thought was kind of fun is only in Ann Arbor. The city council this week unanimously, I love the idea, decided to decriminalize psychedelic drugs, including magic mushrooms. Again, only in Ann Arbor. So I don't know how that's going to play out anywhere else in the state, but I thought that was kind of funny that they would do that. So more details again at Michigan Marijuana Report.
All right, thanks, Mike. Blaine, I know you have a big pile of news today.
I have a bunch of news today. I keep thinking it's going to ease up a little bit, and then more stuff just keeps coming out. So one of the first things we're going to announce, we're going to talk about, is going to be the USDA has announced their CFAF2 program. That's the Coronavirus Food Assistance Program. So now, the good news in this thing is that hemp growers are now eligible to receive some money out of this. Now, we've been talking about this all year, that you had to go out and you had to certify your acres at FSA, and they gave a little bit of a better window for everybody to do that by September 15th. Now, it's not a lot of money. It's $15 per acre. So it's not a bunch of money, but that's how they're doing that. So if you're already participating with a farm service agency, then they've got your paperwork and everything else in line. If not, then you need to do some paperwork to get things taken care of. And if anybody has questions on that, I'll put my number in there and you can contact me and I can help you work through that paperwork a little bit. But they put $14 billion in this new program, and it covers a lot of things for corn, soybeans, dairy, beef cattle, broilers and eggs. A lot of different specialty crops are included in this. Very, very simple program. I've already helped a number of my clients get through and get the application already printed out. FSA, they made this a little simpler by, if you're growing corn and soybeans or wheat or that kind of stuff, they already have your information on file. They're going to take your 2020 acres, they're going to multiply it by a factor, and then you're going to get paid on that. And they use the yield, what they're using instead of your harvest yield is a yield that you have for crop insurance, or they have a yield that they substitute in for that. So again, pretty easy program. If you're a regular farmer on it, if you're hemp and haven't done stuff with the office before, then just a little bit of paperwork you're going to need to fill out. If it's only $15 an acre, if you only got a few acres, it may not be worth doing all that paperwork to get that little bit of money. But if you're doing a substantial amount, hey, every little bit helps, and we want to try to get that assistance to you if we can. So that's the new program that came out from USDA. So that's pretty exciting that they finally got that out. So also the hemp mine. Now this is coming up next Wednesday down in Litchfield at the Rikers Roberta Greenhouse. They're having their field days down there. I talked to Travis a little bit ago, and he said they're going to leave the open up till about Friday, but then they've got to close that. So it's only $16. They had over 70 people registered as of last week, so it's going to be a nice turnout. This is where you can actually walk between the plants, see the plants, side by side growing and see these genetics being grown down there. So great opportunity, and I hope everybody gets a chance to take advantage of that. So you need to go to the Hemp Mine website. It's the Hemp Mine, M-I-N-E, and there'll be information there that you can register and get paid for. They have a couple forms they want you to fill out before you get there, kind of a waiver for the coronavirus and a few other things. So, but great opportunity, local here in the state. Everybody can get to it pretty easy. So hope to see you all down at that. We will be there next week for sure. So on that. Indiana came out with their rules a little bit for growing next year, and I will say they're a little more friendlier on their prices for growing down there. It's $1,500 for a license to grow down in Indiana next year. That includes your grower and processor one. But one of the things they mentioned in there is a little bit about the background checks that have to be done that we've been talking about. So I'm going to have a little more report to give you next week, but the overview right now is it's a fairly simple process to do. $18 is what it costs to get the actual report from the FBI. And I'm finding that there's ways to do this fairly simple. The UPS stores have a way to digitally take your fingerprints and be able to send them to the FBI. You have to go through another, what they call a channeler service to do that. But it's a way I would recommend doing it for sure, because I think it's going to be the easiest way. 4 or 5 day turnaround on that. And I'm going to try to actually do it this week to see how that all works and how the process works, and give more report on that next week. But next year, we all need to do that if we're going to grow. We have to get that background check instead of the one that we have been doing. So we'll just certainly highlight that in the near future. There is one post office you can go to in the state. Oh, I was going to do that. Okay. I know I was going to. Okay, so here.
I almost asked you. I almost interrupted you.
But I didn't say the city, Dave, so I can do that. So, all right, so now you know there's one post office in the state. There's 81 post offices in the United States that you can go to and have this done. So in Michigan, there's one. And for a bottle of the yummy CBD-infused maple syrup from Sutton's Weed Farm, if you can tell me what city that's in, you can put it in the chat.
Yep, put it in the chat.
We'll send you the bottle. We'll look at the chat and see if anybody gets the right answer. So there's only one post office, and what city is that located in?
We were actually talking about the city earlier in the pre-show portion.
Oh yeah.
A little hint.
For those that run early, they have a hint there. All right.
Are we live on Facebook?
Dave, Becky's asking, are we live on Facebook?
Yes, we are. On my timeline, unfortunately, I wasn't able to get to our Facebook page.
Okay.
Set up. I'll be back in my studio next week. I'm looking forward to that. So.
Okay.
All right. Thank
All
you.
right. So several weeks ago, US Hemp Roundtable enlisted everybody to help send in comments for the appropriations bill to be sent in. And the great news is that they need our help once again. So what's happened this week is in the appropriations bill that needs to be passed here very quickly, because otherwise we have government shutdowns coming again. There's a clause in there about extending the USDA interim rules to September of 21. Now the House has already passed the bill, so it's gone to the Senate. Now if you go to the US Hemp Roundtable's website, they've got ways you can just click on it, put your name and address in, it'll go right to your representative senators. But they need our help on this, and we need to get this passed. Because we need to get it passed anyways for the government to keep functioning in a normal manner, whatever that is these days. But so good news there is that maybe there's going to be an extension of this. I don't see Brad on here today. And we have a question into the state right now about if that does get put in there, what does that do for our program for next year? Now, maybe that the states that are approved and have their plans approved are just going to go that way, or maybe they might give them the option of going under the pilot program yet. So we'll keep you informed on that, but that's something that's kind of happening. And good news that I think that they will extend that out. I think one of the reasons why they're doing that is because they've given us this comment period to be able to send in more comments. I think they want to get this program right. So they're giving us a chance to do that. So we're grateful and thankful that we can do that. So again, get your comments in for that. If you have not already done that, it'll let them know where our feelings are. about testing and about the 0.3% and those kind of things that we have concerns about.
Harvest time, and yeah, there's a
I
lot of good
What's that, Dave?
topics to hit. You know, it's important to put your comments in. I just wanted to reinforce that we need to keep the pressure on.
Yep. Also, US Hemp Authority, the standard 3.0, that's still open for public comments. That's they're trying to make a standard for people to be able to get a seal, and these people have confidence when they buy a product with that seal that those manufacturing processes are done in a good manner and keeping our food in safe. Because this is a product that we ingest in one way or another. We ingest it into our body. So they still have a comment period open for that. I did not get a chance. Did anybody out there, you can put in the comments or whatever if you did anyone watch the Kiss the Ground movie that came out on Netflix we talked about last week on September 22nd? If you did, it would be great to have a little response from somebody. I did not get a chance to watch that. So, okay. And Courtney Morgan, who was on our program a few weeks ago, they're going to have another webinar, and it's going to be on September 30th, 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And they're going to focus on the US Hemp and final rules and frontline discussion and what's at stake and deadlines and how you can partner to making constructive solution-based comments instead of just saying, I don't like that rule, it sucks. Maybe have a little reason behind there why that rule sucks. So good thing she's going to have on, and she did a really great job when she was on our show the other day to do that. All right. Still, if anybody's interested in the livestock, we're still trying to get names together do a research program for that. So that's coming on. We are getting a lot of we're getting into the harvest time. We're getting a lot of inquiries about, hey, is anybody out there that can do harvesting? Is anybody that can do drying? Is there anybody that can do processing for us? So we have developed that on the iHemp Michigan website, that classifieds real inexpensive way to get your name out there. This last week, I got a call from a guy named James Russell from R&R Farms. He's from the Waterford area. They've got a little crew together, and they're looking to be able to assist people with any of their harvesting and hanging and trimming and all that kind of needs. So again, use that site. We've made it, it's $5 to be able to put your name on there. So, and what you're looking for, if you're looking for help, if you're looking for something else, or if you have a service to provide. We're a great way to do that. So, and also we are go with the expo this year. The theme is a sustainable world, and it's going to be Friday, January 22nd, and Saturday, January 23rd. It's looking more and more with the way things are not coming under control with the COVID that we're probably going to have to go to a virtual show. But we've got a great lineup. Matter of fact, Chase and Jeffrey will be on that this year. Chase is going to help us a little bit with the sustainable world theory and that topic. So we're looking forward to both of you guys participating, not only today, but in the future with this, help us out.
And you might also mention, Blaine, that this will all be video recorded. So, which, of course, if you're at the actual event with multiple things going on at the same time, you'll be able to watch all the various programs and presentations, right?
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, we will have that capability. Where last year, if you didn't get to, like maybe something that Chase did or Jeff talked about, you missed it. But now with the virtual, that's one nice thing about it is that we'll have those available and you'll be able to watch them. Yeah. So I think a little more bang for the buck in some ways to do that, actually. Although it's always fun to get together and play together, so we'll do that. So, and the Midwest Hemp Council, they're having they're planning their industrial hemp expo camp at the Crossroads for Thursday, February the 4th, and Friday, February the 5th, and more information will be coming out about that. So, but I digress more, and we're going to get into the meat of the program here now. So, unless anybody else has something they want to throw in for the goodness, Dave, Mike?
Brad did join. Did you want to try and get an update from Brad, or?
If Brad has something, that would be great. I don't know if he was able to get an answer.
Yeah, I sent him a text. So, Brad, if you're hearing, if you have anything, let us know. Otherwise, why don't you go ahead and introduce our guests?
All right. All right, we'll get Brad in there if he sends something in.
Yeah.
So we have 3 great guests today. We have Chase Hubbard, and we have Jeffrey Cole, and we have Bill Abbott, if I'm saying the last name correctly. But I'm going to talk about Chase first, and then we'll talk about Jeff and and Bill in a little bit. So Chase was real involved with this last year. He came and talked about the markets last year. And Chase is a senior analyst with the Jacobsens. But this is a little bit of interesting background that I didn't know so much about Chase. So I like this one. So Chase Hubbard earned his degree in sustainable agriculture from the Warren Wilson College in Nashville, North Carolina, and later completed the North Carolina State Agriculture Leadership Development Program. His career in farm management, including a broad range of crops, livestock, and markets, received widespread local and national recognition for progressive agricultural practices and for mentoring young farmers. Chase's unique perspective in agriculture results from a deep sector knowledge across many commodities and geographically, ranging from Western North Carolina to Latin America and Southeast Asia. In addition to farming full-time, he serves as an elected soil and water supervisor and in appointed leadership roles for local state agricultural committees and commodity groups. Chase is now covering the emerging hemp industry for the Jacobsens. So Chase, we're going to have you take over and give us all your great knowledge.
Yeah, I want to say before you jump in, Chase, I want to thank you again for participating with us with the 2020 Midwest iHemp Expo. We really appreciate what you've done to help us out and provide that information.
Yeah, you bet, Dave. You guys are a great group. I really enjoyed being a part of that, and glad to do that on a continuing basis. And I did want to just follow up on Blaine's comments about making comments in the Federal Register for the rule. The other day I checked, I think there were less than 500 comments to date, which would be maybe 2.5% of registered growers this year, and obviously a much smaller percentage of all the stakeholders. So definitely need more people to comment on that rule. Okay, so this is pretty open. I just want to start it off and then make sure I leave room for Jeff and our other guests. But just some basic things. So the Jacobsen is a price reporting agency. We report on a number of agricultural commodities. The company's been around for about 150 years, started in the tallow markets in Chicago. But we report on vegetable oils and hides and leather, organic and non-GMO, and started reporting on hemp back in July of 2019. So our key product is daily price reporting. We publish a daily bulletin with pricing and commentary, wholesale pricing for a range of hemp commodities, including biomass and hemp flour and the derivatives, the extracts, and then also hemp fiber and grain. We also have started forecasting in the hemp space, which, with the caveat that we're limited in the data that we have compared to other mature commodities that we forecast. But it's something needed in the industry for people to just include in their decision-making process as they're making management decisions. So that's our big thing is price reporting. And, it's super challenging in the hemp space. Number one, the specifications and standards for all the products really vary. So there is no universal standards for, isolate is probably the closest. But everything else there's a wide range of factors that vary in these different products. So that's really challenging, and it prompts us to publish wider price ranges to accurately characterize the market. We get our pricing from a range of people in the industry, small, big, in between. We've started reporting on organic, certified organic products, which is growing this year, certainly. And and so the major impacts on markets are still regulatory. The USDA's interim final rule is major impact on supply. Producers, the stringent regulations there could have a real impact on supply, but the FDA, I think, probably has the most significant impact on demand at this point, particularly from, CBD products. So all eyes are on the FDA and what they're going to do. And they submitted their plan to the White House Office of Management and Budget, I think back in July, so a while ago. So we should be hearing from the FDA in the near future. But the regulations range all the way from these federal agencies, including the DEA, which just jumped in and staked their claim in the hemp space with declaring that hemp extracts over 0.3% THC are in fact Schedule 1. And that exposes extractors to enormous risk, because all of the extracts generally are 3 to 5% THC. When you concentrate cannabinoids, you concentrate them all. And so it's definitely putting some pressure on the market in terms of THC remediation and people that have a lot of this hot extract in inventory are definitely squirming in their seats right now.
Chase, I see this week that that there's a couple of people that have band together to make a lawsuit against the DEA. Do you think that'll go very far, or what'll come out of that, do you think?
Well, I think it's good to keep nipping at their heels in terms of, from a policy perspective, we have to go through these processes. I talked to actually one of the attorneys on this morning, and, I think we'll be supplying some supporting data for, basically what the extract markets, what that looks like, and what the implications of that rule would do to that developing market. So not sure, Blaine, but I think that there's certainly precedent for it. If you look at alcohol and distillers, they have a work in progress stuff that's, it's overproof, but, there's some protections for them for manufacturing. So, I think that also needs to be in place for hemp and CBD.
Let me ask if Chase, if the MORE Act gets approved eventually, won't happen this year, would that change that? Would the DEA then kind of get off the cannabis and hemp industry's backs a little bit?
Yeah, well, I always say that hemp policy is closely tied to cannabis policy. I mean, they're inseparable. So absolutely, I think if that base, regulation changes, then it becomes. Yeah, the picture changes significantly. So yes, I do think that would change things a lot.
Great.
That's great. Love the discussion. So, the other big thing that's coming up from a supply side for producers is this transition to the USDA's interim final rule here at the end of October. And, a number of states have said, nah, sorry, we're just going to get out and let the USDA handle it. Surprised more haven't, simply because of the budgetary demands for running a program at a time when states are pretty cash strapped and future budgets are uncertain. So, but that transition is upcoming, and there's some new legislation there also to extend that out a couple of years. So we'll see. The USDA can't make that change. They don't have the ability to do that. Want to just open it up, make sure there's opportunity for discussion and for the other guests to speak.
So Chase, what do you see happening with the, let's, instead of CBD for a minute, let's talk about the grain and the fiber part of things. What are you seeing out there in that area?
I'll start with hemp seed. Hemp seed is showing about 5 to 7% growth year over year. We're looking at, off the top of my head, it's around 21,000 acres in the supply side this year for hemp seed grain. Most of that production is consolidated in the Northern Plains, North Dakota, Montana, also Minnesota, but also Colorado's got some hemp seed grain and some crushing capacity. The crushing capacity is in the Northern Plains for the most part, but there is some also in Kentucky and Colorado. So we're seeing some good demand there. Customers like Dr. Bronner's are really increasing the demand for the oil. The hemp seed meal is, the big question and a real shortcoming in that hemp seed complex. And that regulatory picture seems to be changing pretty quickly. So I would imagine in a year that hemp seed meal would be allowed in livestock feeds, because there really is nothing substantive that's preventing hemp seed meal from being fed to livestock. It's really just a historical thing. There's never been a need to do that. Hemp seed was expensive and imported, and people weren't really thinking of it as a livestock feed. So that's really interesting, I think, and that will change the economics of hemp seed a great deal. It's still a big challenge for producers to grow hemp seed, to store hemp seed, to process hemp seed. But we're watching carefully the smaller scale operations that people are doing, because I think that there's sort of two major markets: a commodity market and more of a direct market, niche market. And if you look at agriculture and food products, there's a pretty vast opportunity in the marketplace for niche products. A lot of diversity, local products. It's different in different markets. So I think that that's going to be really something interesting to watch, as people produce, like yourself, Blaine, hemp seed on a smaller scale and sell directly to customers. So that's just a quick overview on hemp seed and hemp seed meal. On the fiber side, we're seeing a lot of capitalization. We've seen several $100 million move into that segment this year. You've got the big blank check corporation with Collective Growth, the Canopy Growth alums, and Panda Biotech in Texas, and IND Hemp, who's also one of the major crushers for hemp seed in Montana, is moving into decortication. So that's the big limitation for fiber, is a lack of infrastructure to process. And we price hemp fiber, and it's raw hemp fiber baled. And it's not practical to transport over long distances, no more than it is hay. So probably going to see smaller capacity regional processing, similar to what you see in cotton. In North Carolina, down east, every county's got several cotton gins, depending on the demographic and cotton production there. So lots to go, but it's great to see things like Georgia Pacific teaming up with Bast Fiber Technologies in Canada. They're going to be producing wipes, hemp fiber based, and I think that production will be based in Europe, but that should still stimulate the industry. I think the long-term goal is to move that manufacturing to North America, but it makes sense in developing this product that they use existing infrastructure and expertise in Europe to develop their products. So, other major manufacturers are starting to add hemp to their manufacturing, and the bioplastics are really seem to be taking off. There's a lot of parties out there that are involved in it, but it's going to take time. And I think that's probably one of the things, is that when people think about time and progress in this industry, it really should probably be measured in chunks of 5 or 10 years. These kind of things just aren't going to change overnight.
I read an article today of a company out in Colorado that's making hemp utilities. So they're making plastic knives, forks, spoons, that kind of stuff. So we'll try to have them on the show, and definitely we want to get them for the expo with the sustainability world, right? So yeah, so I read that today. So yeah. Mm-hmm.
Are they making hemp straws? Because not everybody, but I mean, many of these fast food joints give you a straw with your drink. Is anybody making hemp straw?
There are hemp straws on the market.
Yeah.
There's a lady out of Alaska who started doing some hemp straws. She's made a big push. I don't know exactly where she is on hemp straws, but man, that's a wide open market opportunity, I would say.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, every fast food joint gives you a straw with your drink, right?
No doubt.
Yeah, that'd be high impact.
Out here in Colorado, we're getting a lot of different kinds of straws now. There's a big movement out here to kind of go to metal straws and things like that. And
metal, really?
With hemp, the versatility, of hemp, it's the natural replacement for plastic, especially straws.
Yeah, that excites me the most. Those single-use products, producing those out of hemp would be super high impact. And as far as stainless steel straws, I've never been a big fan. As you
Me neither.
imagine what can happen with a stainless steel straw, it just isn't appealing and practical. Washing those things is not as easy as one might think.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I know that some of the hemp that we were able to process into the fiber and the hurd this fall from last year's crop, some of that product has gone to the plastics here in Michigan, and I know they're doing some research, and we hope that's going to move forward so we can have a little market here for everybody on their plants. So, yeah. So,
Excellent.
all right, Chase, anything else you want to share? Or?
You know, I did just want to put in a quick plug that we are offering a farmer subscription now to the Jacobsen. It's $29 a month. You get a once a week on Fridays, you get an email bulletin with pricing and commentary. So if you're interested in that, what's the best way to, I guess, just
You can just put it right in the chat if you want to.
okay. I'll put my email in the chat. Please, anyone, if they have any questions, please contact me about that.
Okay. Great. Well, we'll definitely get that posted on the site too. So
Yeah, if you could put a link to your website and such in the chat, that'd be great.
Will do. All right. Thanks, guys.
that's nice to have an affordable one. You know, I don't need a daily one, but once a week it's nice to get the update. So that's great.
Yeah, I mean, across our entire markets, it's a lot of our customers, and we serve all the big automotive industry and the big ABCs, ADM and Bungie and Cargill. So a lot of our customers are institutional traders, and as a part of their daily jobs, use this service. But it's a little out of reach for small producers for sure.
Yeah.
Well, we thank you for stepping up and doing that. That's great.
Yeah, you bet.
Jeff, is
Really
Bill
amazing,
on?
man.
Is Bill on? Is Bill on too or not?
So Bill is up at one of our grows in the area. He's having difficulty logging in.
All right.
Me back and forth. He just has a connection issue up there. So.
All right. Well, I'm going to give you a little bit of background we have on Jeff. We tried to dig up the real dirt
Out there. No, just kidding.
So Jeff was again one of our presenters last year at the expo, and we become good friends, and we appreciate you doing that last year, and appreciate your help for this year when we do it this year too. But Jeff Cole is the founder of the US Hemp Brokerage LLC, based in Boulder, Colorado, a leading hemp brokerage and professional service firm. Mr. Cole entered the hemp industry 7 years ago, coming straight out of, you know something? Where are my glasses? When you get old, sometimes you just can't read all that print anymore. There we go. There we go.
You look like Dave to me right now, so it's okay.
Oh, Dave's a lot. Mr. Cole entered the hemp industry 7 years ago, coming straight out of the national advertising and natural media marketplace. He has worked with major media outlets, including National Geographic, Tribune Corporation, Village Voice Media, and others. Prior to entering the hemp industry, Jeff worked with thousands of brands, including Seventh Generation, White Waves, Silk Brand, Hanes
Celestial.
Thank you, and Ben & Jerry's. Since being in the hemp industry, Jeff has created and developed with his team nearly 70 hemp brands. These brands include Pure Kind Botanicals, Cannabinoid Life, Restorative Botanicals, Willie's Remedies, First Crop, and such private label programs as Lucky's Market and Alfalfa's Market and Nuts and Berries, which were some of the first retail-based private label programs in the nation. Brands on which he has served as a team leader, more than $200 million in total hemp sales, and which currently occupy more than 5,000 shelf feet at retailers throughout the nation. Jeff has participated in Michigan hemp markets and is a valued member of iHemp Michigan. US Hemp Brokerage is the broker of record for Star Farm Alliance, a Michigan-based hemp farm outfit with an outstanding smokable hemp product line. So Jeff, maybe you can give us your insights on what you see happening in the world of hemp and where we're going to go with our markets this year.
Sure. That sounds great. I do want to just make one correction on that one. It's not $200 million. I really wish it was.
Oh,
It's 20 million. Yeah.
$20 million. Wow.
We've sold about 21 million now in total hemp product sales through retailers, small and large, throughout the country.
Over what time frame?
It's over the last 4 years, in fact.
Okay.
I've been in the industry for the last 7 years, but I've been full-time in the industry now for just about 5 years. So I'm earning, I'm one of those guys in the market earning every penny of my income through the hemp business. I basically took a strong look at hemp many years ago. Really, I was introduced to hemp as building material. I didn't include in my background that I have a pretty extensive green building background. I created a program called My Energy Loan, which funded green buildings. And, we funded a few $100 million worth of green buildings in the early 2000s. But, sustainability, and I'm really looking forward, to the expo because, Chase, I love, being on stage with you and working with you and stuff like that, because we have a good friendship and a relationship. And I think we complement each other, really well. I love the background on research. I love all the benchmark pricing and all of that really does need to be done, especially within the sustainability world. So I'm really looking forward to, talking about sustainable enterprise at the expo, et cetera. I got introduced to hemp essentially through National Geographic in some of their articles, and really understanding more about the industrial applications of hemp and the ability of hemp to literally replace almost everything, it seems. You can't replace diamonds with hemp, but you can certainly approach the strength depending on how you process it and marry it with any other compounds. So I got really involved in sort of it's kind of to use the buzzword, but in a thought leader community, really trying to design industrial applications for hemp. Say about 5 years ago, well, actually about 4 years ago, I joined Pure Hemp Technology, which is one of the leading technology firms in the country. It's owned by Ed Lehrberger and about 80 other of us who have participated in the growth of that firm. We've done things at Pure Hemp, for instance, like converting sugar, for example, would be xylose. And Chase, you may know some about the xylose markets and xylitol. When you convert xylose to xylitol, it's a pretty involved process. But xylose as a sugar is actually most abundantly found in hemp, but it's currently harvested from the birch tree. So we've done things at Pure Hemp like isolating xylose sugars and actually converting hemp xylose into xylitol. Now, xylitol is the healthiest sweetener on the planet by almost all accounts. So it's pretty interesting. So my interest in hemp was more focused on things like, paper and sugars and lignin. Lignin is a very, very important compound. And lignin is actually like the glue that's in all plant matter. So within the hemp plant, it's like 19% lignin. So for instance, when you're making paper unsustainably from, for instance, forestry products, one of your initial steps in processing is delignifying the wood. Pure Hemp actually has technology that when you put through hemp stock or really any biomass, you get three fractions. You get sugars, you get pulp, and you get lignin. So that was what really turned me on in the industry. However, as I learned more and more about hemp and learned more and more about CBD and cannabinoids, it kind of dawned on me that, there's a really important effort to be made here, which is to try to really measure and analyze, as a forecasting tool for product development, which products you should focus on now versus which products might make more sense to focus on later. So as you try to design an index for product development and for all of these different things that you can replace with hemp, it's beneficial to look at it and really prioritize. So, if I started running numbers, through the HRI, which is just an idea that my team and I came up with, And we realized that, look, at the end of the day, CBD products and our ability to replace toxic medicine and addictive medicine is like the highest HRI in the country right now. And that literally is borne out in what we all see. We see that there are literally now almost 6,000 brands of CBD products. I'm happy to say, yes, I've helped create 1/100th of 1% of those products, I think. So, you know, a little dinky amount, but it's substantial for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So we started developing CBD products, and then we started farming hemp and got plugged into the Colorado community, which, you know, is basically the epicenter, sort of the genesis of, or location genesis of the hemp industry. So I was very fortunate to be put into sort of that epicenter within this emerging industry in the early days. And it's been very helpful to understand and to kind of get our arms around it as we talk to members of the hemp community in other states. It was really fun when I was out earlier this year up in Michigan with you guys. And, you know, to kind of talk about, you know, how Michigan is emerging as a leader within the hemp community. And that's a very real statement. I mean, you've got a lot of, you know, close knit people within that community. It's a farming and agricultural and education based, you know, state. And it's really exciting to see how things have come together. I want to applaud Blaine and Dave Craybill for their efforts, because really more so than almost any other state, I see that you guys are doing some continual marketing and you know, platforms like this, where you get different people from around the country, and especially within your own state, who kind of come together and form ideas. And, you know, we're able to talk a lot about, you know, what works here, what works there. You know, I want to kind of move to a subject that's super important. That subject is, what are you going to do with this year's crop? You know, that's the big question. What do you?
Yeah, $64 million, right?
It really is the $64 million question, no doubt. And, you know, so I have to be candid about this with you. If you're a farmer and you've grown hemp this year and you're just asking yourself this question, you're about 10 months late, and you've really shot yourself in the foot in some ways. My company, the US Hemp Brokerage, you know, we certainly have an opportunity to help companies that are kind of late with how they're going to sell their product. But even with our expertise and experience, you know, we can't work miracles per se. It's just not, it's not possible. And, you know, a lot of contracts, like we already have contracts with, you know, with crops from around the country, from indoor grows, from outdoor grows. You know, again, these contracts were set up many months ago in most cases. So if you find yourself as a hemp farmer in the great state of Michigan, which we love dearly, and you don't have a contract for selling that product, what do? Well, definitely call us, because we can at least tie you in if we can't actually physically sell those products. But to ask that question begs another question. And that question is, how much did you grow? How do you want to sell it? When you grew it, what was the outcome you were going for? I can tell you, with my experience here along the Front Range in Colorado, you know, I've farmed a whole bunch now of, you know, of hemp, but when we started farming out here, we really had no worries of cross-pollination. We weren't concerned at all about getting seeded, because there weren't very many farmers, and they were kind of spread out quite a bit. Well, 3 years into that, everybody's getting seeded. Last year was the first time that literally every farm that we know of along the Front Range, everything that was grown outdoor was cross-pollinated. This year, we found that even with greenhouse grows, now there's a very big difference between a greenhouse indoor grow and a true indoor grow. Even within greenhouse grows, we're seeing pollination. And that's because they've got, you know, the big fans that pull in the fresh air from outside, and along comes the pollination as well. So along the Front Range, and you guys are going to see this in Michigan in 1 to 2 years, if you're growing outdoor, you're definitely going to get pollinated. If you get pollinated, you limit your outcomes.
Yeah.
The outcome is most likely going to be you're going to want to grow it to go to oil, meaning that you're going to want to grow your crop and then thresh it or separate, fractionate your different parts. You're going to have 3 parts. So you're going to have seeds, stalks and stems, and then you're going to have flour or something that's truly extractable. You don't want to mix in your seeds with your extractable flour because that clogs up the extracting equipment and it really diminishes your maximum opportunity for value on the back end. So if you've grown in Michigan and you've got acres and acres, my recommendation, my strong recommendation for this year is expect to go to oil, but also know that pricing within the marketplace bottomed out last year around September, and it didn't get any better this year. And COVID absolutely has impacted that. Last year, early in the year, we were selling kilograms of distillate more in the $3,000 to $3,600 range. Our last contract, which was for a manufacturer of chocolates, was $600 a kilogram.
And that's taking a hit,
The market has-
So Jeff, you handle both smokable and the oil then part
Yeah.
of it.
We do.
Liquid,
Absolutely.
distillate, isolates, all those?
All of them. So, and I should let you know that within our company at the US Hemp Brokerage, we have 4 different divisions. So, and what we are is we're a true brokerage house. We actually don't know of another true brokerage house in the industry yet, but we do invite other people into the category that we can collaborate with on more national type sales. But within our 4 divisions, we have one division that's just cannabinoids. All we sell through that division is cannabinoids, and we sell every kind of cannabinoid that you can imagine within a range of compliance in the hemp space. So, we're creating brands, we're manufacturing brands. We've got a long list of manufacturers that we work with. We focus mostly on organically certified, processed and manufactured goods, because that's really the heart of the market right now. It's still the case that there's not full penetration of CBD, even in natural grocery stores, for instance. So, we do have that cannabinoid division. That includes things, again, like the finished product, but we do sell raw material. So we sell things like isolate and crude and distillate. And, I'm excited about the fact that we've had such tremendous success over the last just 2 months within the flower space. So, and I'll touch on that here in just a moment, because that really truly is the most vibrant part of the market today. It's where there are ready buyers who, for the right spec product, will pay very large amounts of money for it. As an example, we just recently sold a couple of pounds. We've sold thousands and thousands of pounds, but we sold a couple of pounds recently. Dave, I think I was telling you this, or maybe yesterday. We sold a couple of pounds for over $1,000 each, but this product is impeccable. There are no seeds. It's got a perfect trim job. The trichomes are really, oil laden, and it smells really fragrant. So, there's such a strong market for that. And I do want to take a minute, just on that to say that within that smokable product category, we were introduced actually to Sun Farm Alliance, I think through Blaine and Dave, and we formed a relationship with Star Farm Alliance. Star Farm is a Michigan, producer, and they had a really great year. To hear them say it, they said that they just made a ton of mistakes last year. And the truth is, you always make mistakes and you fail forward within those mistakes. It's important to make the mistakes, but to try to minimize those mistakes. That's the value that we add to our customers, so we help them not make big mistakes. But Star Farm recently became one of our clients, and they, for instance, have an amazing hemp cigarette product. It's a hemp smoke. It's made from 100% hemp. The filters are also hemp, the papers are hemp, and their product is just outstanding. Like, I was really floored by how strong, their offering is for the market. Now, we've just recently started representing them. We've already been to a handful of accounts. In every single case, every one of them loved that product. So I can tell you on a national level that you've got a front runner, a leader in the market through Star Farm Alliance that is already making a strong push in the national marketplace for hemp smokes. That kind of leads me back to what are the outcomes that are possible for you at this point. If you've grown hemp and you don't have it sold, well, you do have an opportunity within the smokable market, but you would have to really grow for that market, for that outcome. So if you haven't done that, my strong recommendation is harvest your crop, cure it very well, make darn sure that you don't get any mold or anything like that on it, and then process it to oil. It's a far better outcome for you this particular year if you're a farmer, possibly a first-year farmer.
Would you take it to distillate or isolate?
Oh, I would probably take it, I probably would process it down to a winterized crude and leave it in that form initially, because you can then process it down to whatever you want from that form.
We're seeing some farm, some growers are able to do that right on their own farm. When we're talking, you remember Nick Young from Crystalline? I don't know if you met him in January, but
I did.
He specializes in distilling. So he's helping farmers get set up to create their own crude on site, and then he can do the distilling from
Absolutely.
there.
That's phenomenal. I'm sorry that Bill is having an issue on this. Bill is on getting onto this program right now, but is one of the leading extractors and processors within in the country. He's one of the early pioneers. He's built a couple of the largest processing facilities in the country, and he also was integral in the establishment of the first mobile extraction lab 7 years ago or so. So the good news is that there are lots of different outcomes in my opinion, and this is an experienced opinion, but again, it's just my opinion. You've got an opportunity to do more with your product at the end of the day if you go straight to a winterized crude and leave it there, and then sell that to other people who want to refine it or process it down. Now, if you can establish a relationship with a processor where you can still do a split. Now, normally split contracts are done in the early season, not at the end of the day, which is kind of where we are at harvest time right now. But if you can get together with a processor who will extract your harvest and keep part of that oil for themselves as payment, and then give you part of that oil back, then that's a good outcome for you from a cash management standpoint. It's not the best outcome for you if you're trying to maximize your margin, because it'd be way better for you to pay a tolling fee to process down to oil and then get all of your product back, all of your oil back. You make more money that way for sure. But these are tough times, and farmers aren't always flush with cash, as we all know. And so a processing relationship is not just advised, but it's critical. You don't have a processing relationship in your state, then that presents a bit of a problem for you. So I really recommend through this group, through iHemp Michigan, network as much as you can with processors. If you're looking for business opportunities within the state of Michigan, processing is a big opportunity. There are too few processors, and processors were clobbered last year, absolutely clobbered. With the way that prices fell, you found all around the country that processors who had established contracts with farmers, that they couldn't perform on those contracts because frankly, the numbers and the dollars fell out of the market so fast on pricing that there was just no margin for any processor to really absorb a contract where they expected to pay one rate and the market fell out and they just couldn't afford to do it. There are many processors who went out of business last year.
Yeah, and a lot of them aren't offering splits anymore. Yeah.
It's a fact. It's a fact. I mean, it was sort of a golden opportunity when you could get a good split. They do still exist. They definitely do. But again, we're late in the season. So to get a split contract right now is going to be difficult. Now, with that said, we have relationships through the US Hemp Brokerage and through our large network where we can be instrumental in connecting dots. But again, I can't promise miracles, but I can definitely tell you that anybody who reaches out to us looking for help, we kind of specialize in helping those people. And that's kind of, we get calls daily, 5, 10, sometimes a lot more, depending on the month and the season, where we have panicked farmers really freaking out. We've invested 200,000 or 300,000 or more, and we don't know what to do with our products. So I want to just make a quick turn here because I want to focus on one really important area of the growing community. Now, if you've grown in the 1 to 5 acre range, and that's it, you're obviously considered a small farmer, but you have an opportunity, okay, that many people don't realize. Okay, you can do your own brand, for sure. You can take your crop, that's a relatively small crop, you can process that out to oil, you can keep some of it even as smokable, you could divert some of that material into things like smokable hemp cigarettes and things like that, but you really have an opportunity to do your own brand. And in reality, if you've got 1 to 5 acres, that's probably your best option. If you can afford it, and I sure hope you can, go to tolling with the processor, pay the tolling fee, get your oil, and then call us or some other branding agency and get the help that you need to design your own brand. It's super affordable these days. We and others, of course, I don't just want this to be a commercial for us. It's not how we operate at all. But you can create your own brand, you can do your own e-commerce website, and you can use your oil to penetrate the market and sell it through. And that's really your best opportunity to make money. It's the best opportunity if you're a 1 to 5 acre farmer, in my opinion.
Most leverage.
Because you could leverage a lot of it.
Could you put your contact information in the chat?
Oh, certainly.
And I think
I can do that.
Blaine, we have Brad's available to give us a little update. He has some news from, so was there anything else you wanted to share, Jeff, before?
There is just one last thing I wanted to mention to specifically this audience, that within the framework of compliance and with everything that's going on and with the DEA coming in and trying to jump ahead of the USDA, it's quite the rigmarole. But I want to point out, to give you guys all just a little solace, so you can maybe calm down a little on this if it's bothering you. There's precedent where the HIA sued the DEA. That was back in 2003. It's a very important case. The DEA has gotten slapped many times about how they try to step in. And look, there are all these different efforts, but we have really strong people and strong lobbies within the entire cannabis community that are working very diligently. But again, as Chase did, as Blaine and Dave have done, I strongly encourage you to have your voice and speak it at this time. It's super important that everybody involved in this industry be involved in stopping the DEA with their overstep. And again, learn more about the 2003 HIA v. the DEA and how the HIA added serious value to the market early on and beat the DEA at their game.
All right, cool.
And I think that's it. I really appreciate the opportunity to work with you guys.
Well, I appreciate all you're doing. It's and I wanted to ask you about that index, and I'm looking forward to seeing more come from that in the next hit list. But obviously, CBD is the low-hanging fruit. Now, well, in CBG now,
it is.
And, those cannabinoids.
Dave, I'm going to be really brief on this, but I do want to mention that the future of hemp is not CBD. It's really not. It's grain, it's food and fiber. And I think that the smart money and the long view within hemp is grain and fiber. And any larger scale farmers, that's where you should be focusing your attention, in my opinion.
Yeah, and we need tens of thousands of acres.
For sure.
Large scale.
Just one last thing to add to the comment. The the comment period is open for two different things, the USDA's IFR and the DEA's IFR. So I just wanted to clarify that to listeners that there are two things to provide input on at this point.
And two different dates too. I think one's the 15th and one's the 20th or something like that.
Okay.
So
Do you
October.
guys have that in your chat yet, or could you drop some of that in? You know, it's difficult to find where to make comments. I think sometimes it's designed to be.
I'll send out I'll send out an email. When I get back in the office, there's a lot of news I need to update everybody on. So look for an email.
Thank you again.
All right.
One quick question for both of you before we get to Brad. So current situation with the fires going out in California and out west, and the snow that happened in Denver or Colorado area, do you see that affecting the market at all and bringing the prices up at all, do you think?
Chase, you can address that one first. I'll give you my opinion after.
Well, I think that, the smokable flower market, I think, is one of the big questions, because that really is a vibrant market, and we're seeing a lot of demand there, and it's just expanding, regardless of the bans that we've seen in states. Oregon State University is doing some good research. I think they're looking to the wine grape industry to understand the impact of smoke and ash and all this stuff on the crop. And both raw flower and something that a consumer might smoke, but also all the way through to isolate and how that might. Because there's no research to show that. But as far as pricing on biomass and the derivatives, I don't really think so. I don't think that it's enough to really impact the supply and demand picture.
Yeah, I would agree with you mostly, Chase. I do think that, especially along the Front Range here, and throughout northern Colorado, in even parts of southern Colorado, as well as California, I think that the devastating impacts are real. I do think that in our case out here with thousands and thousands and thousands of acres, we got ash dumped on all of our outdoor crops. That's really not good. Then we got an immediate snowfall right after that. And ash and contaminants find its way into those plants. And it's, we have a great fear that there's going to be mass contamination. Now, with that said, we've actually had a little bit of time after that for those plants to continue to grow. We've had some good rain. So there are a bunch of big question marks on what that impact is. I haven't heard about Oregon and Oregon State and some of the testing they're doing. Testing this year is going to be all the more important, is what I could say for sure.
Yeah.
It's going to have a little bit of an impact on price. I think that the impact on pricing is going to be slightly north.
Yeah, and I think it's variable too. Different markets, different things for specific things. If someone's looking for a CBG crop in a certain location, it might create it might strengthen prices there. And the thing to say about ash and stuff, I think one of the concerns is if Oregon determines through their research that there's a pretty high level of toxicity, now that could really impact markets. And we don't know, because it's not just forest products that have burned, it's homes and businesses and really nasty toxic stuff. So we'll see.
Yeah, we need to rebuild with hempcrete.
No doubt.
It'd be awesome.
All right. Thanks, guys. I appreciate very much your input today and your time you've been able to spend with us. Brad, you've got an update for us?
Yeah, I do. I'll keep this quick. I heard from Michigan Department of Agriculture and Rural Development just yesterday, and they wanted me to pass something along to everybody out there who's growing. A lot of farmers apparently have been sending samples into the Gigley lab for testing using the U.S. Postal Service. As everybody probably is aware, U.S. Postal has been having some issues with timely deliveries. When it takes a sample 10 to 12 days to make it across the state and get to the lab, they've been having a lot of these samples turn up moldy and untestable. So the farmer then has to turn around and send in a new sample. So what they had asked me to share along was a couple of things. One, keep an eye on your email, because they've got a series of bits of advice and updates that they're going to be sending out over the next few weeks. But if you're sending in samples, remember to send them next day air or next day or even 2 day, but don't put them in the U.S. Postal Service. And the other thing is, remember that the lab is closed on the weekends. So if you're sending it, keep in mind that if you're sending it 2-day delivery and it's Thursday, that sample won't be seen until Monday. So think about where you're sending it and think about how you're sending it, and best of luck.
Thanks, Brad.
Yep.
All right. So we did have a winner on our question of where is that post office located, and it is in Ann Arbor, Michigan, is where that's located at. So that person that answered that question will certainly be receiving a little special present from us. So anything else for the last before we get into the fun part of the show?
Oh no, we need the Hemperor.
Okay. All right. We're a little over today, so we'll make it quick. So this recipe comes from Nancy DuPont, and this is on making a sourdough bread. And unfortunately, I did not get my hemp seed to my my friend that has the starter, Nancy, but I'll have that for us next week. She said she could show a picture of one today, but so this is easy sourdough bread overnight rise. 4 cups flour, grain total. She uses 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 1/4 cups of elkhorn for higher protein flour, 1/4 cup of hemp hearts, flaxseed meal, or other grains, 2 tablespoons of salt. You don't have to add the grains. You could just make all the flour if you want and use 1/4 cup less water. Take about 3 ounces, start out early morning. She keeps hers in the fridge. Let it warm up on the counter till evening. Should look a little bubbly. It won't rise or anything. Then add 1 1/2 or 1 3/4 cup water to the starter mix until all dissolved in your bread bowl. Then add all the flours and grains and mix well. She likes hand mixing now, but it's really messy, so you can mix with a wooden spoon. Just mix really well. No dry flour showing. Then cover it with a damp cloth and let it rest overnight, up to 12 hours. In the morning, the dough should have at least doubled in size. You will shape it and chill it in the fridge for at least an hour while you preheat your oven and bread pan. If not, wait another hour or 3. Perhaps preheat the 500 degrees with your covered bread pan preheating also. After at least 1 hour in the fridge and 1 hour preheat, place the dough in the hot pan and score it with a very sharp knife or razor so you can expand it or you can expand it in a pretty way. You can chill it longer if you schedule needs to. I baked one after 3 hours in the fridge and it was perfect. Really shaping and scoring are the trickiest part. Look at YouTube videos on how to shape wet sourdough and you will see the techniques. There are several ways. One blogger I like is Food Geek. He has a strange, he's a little strange, but his technique is great. And then you bake at 500 degrees in a covered and preheated baking dish for 15 minutes, then uncover. Hopefully you'll have a beautifully risen loaf in there in a lower temps, 450. Bake another 20-30 minutes until it's nice and brown. So Nancy, thank you for sparing that with us, and eventually we'll have some of that done. We'll have some pictures of that. So we're a little over our time, but thank everybody. Thanks again, guys, for doing everything. There's Nancy. Hey, Nancy. Oh, Nancy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
Where's Nancy on the list?
Can you take her off mute, Dave?
Yeah, I'm looking for her.
Hold on, Nancy. We're going to take you off mute. Hold on.
All right. Show and tell. Good.
All right. Okay.
Can you unmute, Nancy? Oh, she's gone. All right. That's okay.
Well, thanks, Nancy. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll let you know what next week is. We've got some great things lined up coming in the future here. So everybody be safe and have a safe harvest out there. And we'll see everybody next week.
See you next week.